Hey guys, guess what? It's Angel. You're watching my latest video. I want to say hi to my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. It means a ton to me. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do that. When you subscribe, click on the little notification bell, and that will tell you every time I upload a video, you will be notified. So, today's video, this is the third time that I have attempted to make this video. My mind is kind of not clear, which may be an indication that I shouldn't be making a video. But I want to make this so bad because I'm in the midst of a tough mental time. And that is bipolar, right? My videos can't always be the structured angel sitting there and giving you good information and like with all of her crap together. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't always have all my crap together. Sometimes I'm in the midst of episodes, and right now I'm in the midst of episodes. So I've been super stressed out, which is a big trigger for me. Stress is hard. It can send me into an episode, and right now I've been going from, I don't know if I would say manic, but definitely hypomanic to depressed. So I've had a day where I was in bed, I had another day where I was on the couch, and then I've had, a couple of spending sprees and, some delusional thinking. Not quite to the paranoia stage, but I'm a little worried that it's going to get there. So I wanted to talk today about those things, and also when it's time to call your psychiatrist or your counselor. So hopefully I can put into words without, going into a lot of detail what I have been dealing with. So first off, again, stress is a big factor in my episodes. Right now, I feel like I've had an overload of news cycle. So too much news, watching way too much news, too much social media. And so right now, I have some life stressors, but then I also, when I have social media and it's constantly like political stuff, and then I have the news, which is constantly COVID on one on one news station, cable news. It's like COVID. And then on the other one, it's supply chain crisis. Well, they're both supply chain crisis. But when you have that, and it's like those are always back here, and then you add like regular stressors. So it's a lot. And so for me, what I've had is, okay, I'll just give you like a little bit of what I've dealt with, because take a deep breath. The delusional thinking. So I woke up one morning with this thought out of the blue that we need to just uproot our family and move out of state. So I live in Washington State, and there have been a lot of political, not changes, but there have been a lot of different political aspects in our state that have ramped things up. I don't know if you watch the news, you know that the Seattle area is like super out of control. And our crime rate has gone up and all this stuff. And so I took all of that into account. So I had this idea that, okay, we need to move our family. And it was like this feeling of that I was being, if you're not bipolar, this is going to sound, delusional thinking may sound scary to you, but it's not scary. It just happens. So I woke up thinking we need to move. And I thought in my mind that that I was being told that the spirit was telling me that we need to move. Okay. Then I was reading scripture, and that scripture correlated with the thought that we needed to move in my mind. That was a correlation. So then I'm trying to convince my husband that this is real. This needs to happen, and he's like, well, okay. That's how he is with me. Like, okay. And I'm just like pushing it. And I'm finding all these reasons why we need to move. And then I call my cousin and I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. Don't tell the rest of the family, but this is what's happening. This is, and I'm feeling called. We need to be in this particular area. Like, it wasn't just we're moving to this, general area, but it was like this particular area. This is where we need to go. And I was thinking she's going to be on board, because that means that we're going to be closer to her, and like this is going to be a great idea. But she was like, nope, pump the brakes. Like, she was like, and I was really like surprised by it. And once I got off the phone, I was like, that's really strange, And so, and I had told her, I'm like, this is where we need to go. And I read scripture, and I even read the scriptures over the phone to her. Like, this is where I read, and this is what it says. And she was like, and so that's telling you that you need to move. Like, why is that telling you that? And I'm like, because, like, don't you understand? Like, aren't you hearing what I'm reading? And I couldn't understand why it didn't make sense to her. And so that was like my first kind of clue that this was not really real, And so I started talking to my husband. I was like, I'm concerned because I don't know if my thoughts are based in reality or if it's delusional thinking. And he was like, I don't know. He's like, because we're both, we're religious people. He's like, you need to pray about it. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm like praying, and I'm feeling like I'm not getting any answers. And so in the meantime, I talk to my counselor and I tell her, this is what's happened. And I tell her about the call with my cousin and all of that. And so my counselor is like, well, what would happen if you didn't move? And so I was like, well, and then all of these other thoughts came to my mind, or to the forefront, that I had thought about too. Like, oh, if we don't move, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And it was like all this bad stuff. Like it sounds crazy. Okay. It sounds crazy. And when I told her, I said, even as the words are coming out of my mouth, it sounds crazy. So I'll tell you, one of the thoughts was that we were going to be invaded by China. Okay. And as I say it to you now, it sounds crazy. Okay. So, we ended our discussion, and, she said, maybe it is time, excuse me, for you to either email or call your psychiatrist. Okay. So I think it is time for me to email or call my psychiatrist. And that was last week. And then the week got away from me, and I still hadn't made that call. But I think the good thing is that I talked to her, and when I had verbalized everything, it brought it to the forefront to me that my thoughts were not entirely based in reality. And so this week, when I talked to her, which was today, she said, how do you feel now since our last discussion. And I said, I feel better, which I do. I feel like I have a better grasp, but those thoughts are still right back here. They're not completely gone. So I feel like at this point, I do still need to talk to my psychiatrist, let him know what's going on, give him a full, just the full thing. And then he can make some suggestions and make some decisions as far as what needs to be done to help me so that I don't move further into paranoia and then further, into the deep end. So there you have it. There you have it. And and when I was talking to her, my counselor, that is, I said, I feel bad. I don't want to bother him, my psychiatrist. I feel like, we feel like a burden, right? We're not. We're not burdens. And the thing about it is, like, I feel like I don't want to bother him, but at the same time, guess what? He's my doctor. That's what he's there for. Like, that is his whole purpose, is to be there for me. Your doctor is to be there for you when you need them. Your counselor is to be there for you when you need them. That's their whole purpose. So we're not a burden, we're not a bother, and we need to utilize our resources instead of isolating and pulling away. And we have to remember that. And I think that sometimes, like right now, when my mind is jumbled, it's hard for me to remember these things. Sometimes we have to write things down to remember them. And that's kind of where my mind is right now. And so hopefully this video is not disturbing or distressing for anyone. But I wanted to make it, when I'm in the moment of my mental health, I wouldn't call it a crisis. Hopefully it doesn't become a crisis. If I utilize my resources, it should not. But I wanted to be in the moment of a struggle, really, that I'm dealing with. But I want to say that, what do I want to say? I want to say that I'm grateful for my resources. I'm grateful for my platform that I have, that I can reach out to others, that I can share my story, that it hopefully reaches out and helps somebody else that might be dealing with the same issues, because that's really what it's all about. I want you to know, and I'll put a disclaimer down below, that I am not in any way, shape, or form qualified to give any advice or counseling. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist or a counselor or a psychologist. This should be apparent after you watch this video, but it's simply just me sharing my experience with you. And I feel privileged to do that. I feel privileged that you watch, I should say. Anyway, that's the video, guys. It's, like I said, it's not scripted. And that's it. So with that, I hope you all have a great day. I hope you have a great week. And until we talk again, bye.